So when it comes to making the laws that govern the UK, who really calls the shots? It's a question that gets right to the heart of the country's constitution, and it reveals a fascinating ongoing power struggle. Let's dive in.
It seems like a simple question on the surface, doesn't it? But the answer opens up this incredible story about power dynamics, some major historical clashes, and a principle so fundamental it's basically one of the pillars of the entire system.
Okay, so to figure out where the real power lies, we first have to get our heads around the one fundamental principle that underpins the whole thing. At its core, the idea is actually pretty straightforward. Lawmaking should be democratic. It has to be done by people who've been chosen by the public in an election. But this one simple idea, it has massive consequences, and it leads directly to a very powerful constitutional concept.
It's a principle called parliamentary sovereignty. And the key thing to understand here is just how absolute this is. It means that when it comes to making law, Parliament is totally supreme. No other institution, not the courts, not even the monarch, can step in and overrule it.
And just to show you how far this power theoretically goes, get a load of this example. I know, it's shocking, right? But it makes the point perfectly. Parliament's authority to make or unmake any law is, in principle, completely limitless. All right, so if Parliament is this all-powerful lawmaking body, what does it actually look like? Well, it's not just one big room. It's really a tale of two very different houses. Now, the official term for this kind of setup is a bicameral legislature. All that means is two chambers. Bi for two, cameral for chambers. So it's a lawmaking body that's split into two distinct parts, and each part has a different job to do. And those two chambers are the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Now, the single most important difference between them is super simple. The Commons is elected by the public, while the Lords is appointed. And believe me, that one little distinction changes everything. Because, in a system that puts democracy first and foremost, having one chamber that's elected and another that isn't, well, that creates a very clear and very deliberate power imbalance. So the House of Commons is made up of 650 members of Parliament, or MPs. Every single one of them is elected by the public to represent a specific part of the country. And the political party that wins a majority of these seats gets to form the government. Simple as that. So here's the crucial point. Because the Commons is directly elected, it holds all the democratic legitimacy. That's the magic ingredient. It gives them the authority to have the final say on laws and to run the country. Their power comes directly from the people. Now, on the other hand, you've got the House of Lords, and this is where the irony comes in. It's often called the upper house, which sounds pretty important, right? But because its members are appointed, not elected, it actually has the least amount of real power in this whole process. And, this power gap is just enormous. It's not even close. The lawmaking authority of the elected Commons is absolutely overwhelming. The unelected Lords, they play a much smaller secondary role, mostly checking over laws and suggesting revisions. But this power balance wasn't always so formally set in stone. It actually took a massive constitutional crisis, more than 100 years ago, to turn what was an unwritten understanding into hard and fast law. So the breaking point came back in the early 20th century. The elected House of Commons passed this huge budget. It was known as the People's Budget. But the unelected House of Lords, which was full of wealthy landowners who really hated the new taxes, just tried to block it. This was seen as a massive overreach, a direct challenge to the will of the people. And that crisis led directly to the Parliament Acts. The first one, in 1911, basically stripped the Lords of their power to block any money-related bills. Then later, in 1949, a second act came along and cut their power even more, reducing how long they could delay other types of laws. These acts legally cemented the supremacy of the elected House of Commons once and for all. Okay, so why does all this history and structure matter for the UK today? Well, it all comes circling right back to that one single guiding principle we talked about at the very beginning. So if you take one thing away from this, it's this. When there's a standoff, the democratic will of the people, which is expressed through their elected representatives in the House of Commons, will always, always win. It is the absolute bedrock of the UK's political system. And all of this leaves us with a final, really fascinating question to think about. In the 21st century, is having an unelected second chamber a vital check on power, a place for valuable expertise, or is it just a relic of the past that really has no place in a modern democracy? It's a debate that is very much alive today.